What's going on, everybody? And in this week's lesson, we are going to look how we can transform some simple bar chords into some more fancy jazzy type chords, and then maybe even transform those into a complete riff, something completely different but that outlines that harmony. All right? So before we jump in, I'm in standard tuning. Down in the description below, you can find a link for any of the tabs going across the screen. So let's jump in. Okay, so first thing is first, I'm going to start with a simple 4-chord progression, and it sounds something like this. Okay, like I said, very straightforward. We have an A flat major chord, major bar chord in 11th position on the 5th string. 11, 13, 13, 13. Okay, drop that down to F minor, 8th fret, 5th string, minor bar chord, 8, 10, 10, 9, 8. Drop that down to the 6th string, remove the middle finger, C minor. Back up to the 5th string, minor chord, 10th position, G minor. Okay, so there's kind of level 1, good starting point, still sounds really good. You can play it in several different styles, and it'll take you a long way. So how do we transform those into something a little more colorful, right? So let's do this. We'll turn the first one into a major 7th chord. And to do that, it's actually really simple. The octave of this note is on the 13th fret of the G string. Drop that down to the 12th fret with your middle finger and put all your other fingers down. 11, 13, 12, 13. Major 7. Really nice, colorful chord. You have this interval of a major 7th, which is just a fancy term for the space between just lower than an octave. This is my octave. I lower that by 1 fret. This is a major 7th interval. If I lower that again, I get a minor 7th interval. And there's your music theory for the day. That would just be the 7th note in the scale. You can be major or minor. So major chords have major 7ths. Minor chords have minor 7ths. So we can take that F minor bar chord, lift up the pinky, you have a nice F minor 7 chord. So we have very nice. I like the colors, it feels nice. So instead of turning this chord into a minor 7th chord, let's turn it into a 9 chord. And we can do that by taking the octave and going up by a whole step. There's a lot of dissonance and emotion in that chord. Sounds really nice. And then we're gonna take this G minor chord that we had in 10th position, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this ring finger note and play it a half step higher, and just continue to bar with the first finger, and you get this lovely sound. Really nice chord. Essentially, it's a major chord, major sus kind of chord. I've seen people call this a minor 7 with a flat 13 or a flat 6. I've done that before, but if you really listen to the chord, it doesn't sound like that at all. So you can really view this as essentially a sus chord. Really nice. So if we put all those together, really nice progression right there. Sounds really nice. So now we've transformed our major and basic minor shapes to something with a little more color, right? A little fancy. So now how do we go from this to a riff? And what do I even mean by riff, right? I don't mean just turning it into power chords and right? Which is awesome, right? You put some drums behind that, it sounds huge, but that's not really what I mean by riff, right? Something a little more notey, something that kind of outlines those extensions that we use in the chords, right? So how can we do that? Well, we are going to come down here, and we will use these power chord shapes, but we're going to find those notes that we added from these chords, right? So if we're playing an octave here, A flat is 4 on the low string, 4 to 6. Well, same thing here. If I lower that by 1, there's my major 7 interval. And that's very useful and fun. If I come down here to F on the 1st fret, octave is now 3, whole step below gives me my minor 7, right? I can do things like that. C is here, 3rd fret of the 5th string. Octave would be 5. Now the minor chord is here on the B string. I could also grab that on the G string, same string. Right? And then G would be here on the low fret 3rd. Right? So if I'm going to put a riff together using those kind of shapes and maybe some scale patterns connecting them, this is probably what it's going to sound like, right? Nice, right? So now I've outlined that chord progression in my riff rather than just like banging on power chords, right? And using those key shapes and some syncopated rhythms, right? Fun stuff, all right? So if you like what's going on, please give a subscribe, like button, leave me a comment below. Down in the description, you can find the links to the tab. And as always, let me know what you come up with. Until then, I'll see you next time. Thanks a lot.